Okay, so the next exercise that we're going to do is going to be a split squat. So it's a single leg exercise. I know we mentioned it earlier, and it's just one of those things that's going to help you working towards your running. Kind of any sport that involves a bit of single leg work, there is an argument that that is almost any sport going, with the exception of obvious ones like rowing. Doing a bit of single work is going to be really useful. There are a few really obvious benefits that actually some people don't necessarily pick up on. You probably know this already, but there's a lot to be said for ensuring that there's balance between both of your legs. I'm right-handed, so I know that if I don't deliberately single leg train, I will have a right dominant leg, for example. So what of that? At face value, you might think that's not the end of the world, but actually if we're doing, say, long distance running, great example, that's quite a strenuous exercise on your body, and you'll probably find that because you're dominant on one side, you're more likely to injure for whatever reason it might be because there's an imbalance in the body. So that's a long-winded way of saying that something like a single leg squat is actually a really useful exercise. If you just come around to this side, I'll do a sort of clean, no dumbbells demo first. There's kind of a few different ways to skin this. The option we're going for is with the rear foot elevated. Obviously, we've got a nice stable bench, loads of good space. We'll grab the dumbbells in a minute. But for setup initially, there's no dark art to this. I'm just going to have my foot sort of facing forwards, perpendicular to the bench, get the rear foot up. Distance-wise, I've kind of accidentally nailed it. If I go too close, just to demonstrate, you'll note that my knee's going to go really far forwards. We don't want to do that. So I'm going to get myself onto the bench, nicely balanced, weight is through the foot. I don't want to like rock forwards or backwards. Again, I know that's pretty straightforward, but it is important. And one of the things that is actually itself a variable within this exercise is sort of where you put your torso. For this, I want you to try and stay nice and upright. So you'll have the dumbbells down the side, but if you're clean fatigue, put your hands wherever you want to put them. We're just going to stay nice and upright. I'm going to lower gently towards the ground. Knees not quite touch the ground, and I'm going to drive back up. So we've got a 90 degree. I'm actually going below 90 there, keeping my hips straight. Any questions? No. Cool. So it's a bit of a stability. You'll notice that it's slow and controlled. So as you lower down, I just want you to lower for a count of 1, 2, pause, and then just stand straight back up. We'll do a clean set, clean fatigue set. So we'll just aim to do 5 repetitions per leg. So again, nice and tall torso. Cool. Whatever you're comfortable with. So I'd maybe bring your lead foot a little bit further out. Nice touch. Cool. How's that feeling? What I want you to really think about is working that lead foot and that lead leg, sorry. It's obviously doing most of the work. Please don't be tempted to sort of use the other leg hip flexors to drive up. So really think about that lead leg. Nice. Cool. Is that feeling all right? So we'll do the full 5 repetitions. Probably find you actually have to engage your core a tiny bit as well, even though there's no weight. Nice. And then just make sure you match foot. Perfect. Good. Once we've done this, we will have a 2-minute rest. So there's a little breather. Cool. Fairly easy peasy. Are you happy with your foot sort of on the toes? Yep. That's cool. Yeah. Happy. There's loads of different ways you can skin this. You've probably seen it before. We will just do the dumbbells. So we'll have that 2-minute rest. So it'll be 5:40 on my stopwatch before we go again. You can actually get really very strong at single leg work.
Yeah, whenever I'm in the gym, I always do barbell walking lunges.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's not just a strength thing, it's a stability thing as well.
Yeah, and the walking lunge is quite nice because you're sort of controlling that force as you lower down. What's an interesting point, worth noting, is if you were doing sort of just standing lunge, so we're not walking, and I drive back, what I'm actually training is I'm training to push backwards. So sometimes for a lunge, I appreciate this isn't the split squat, but as if you were to do a reverse lunge, when I then drive, that actually does replicate going forwards. Just if you're doing it on the spot. So if you're doing your lunge walks and that's an exercise that works for you within your programming, perfect, because it works for you. And there's a lot to be said for some of the best programs are the ones that you can comply with, as long as the exercises make sense. If it's working for you and it makes sense, perfect. But if you were to do just static, so this is static clearly, although your feet literally don't move, but clearly the lunge option, they do. And there's a variable in of itself. So the split squat, we've got a raised foot at the back. There's actually no movement between the feet. They stay in position where they are. A lunge is just another variable of a single leg exercise that's very similar to this. We'll go 20 seconds. So if you grab your dumbbells, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. There's no funnies here. We'll just see how it feels. So same start position, and then when you're ready. Oh, happy? So we're nice and tall. Good. Nice. Awesome. Feeling all right? Good. Well done. Match foot, perfect. That bench sounds like my knee.
It's my knees.
That's good, well done. Nice, one more. Cool, just place the dumbbells wherever on the bench, on the floor, whatever works for you. So we're at 619. Do you reckon you go a little bit heavier, or are you happy with that? Conscious that you've done quite a lot of training.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll just work on our movement. Another variable for this exercise, so one for the back pocket. You could do almost exactly the same movement, but you just lean forwards more, so that would focus on the glutes a little bit more, build the booty, if that's sort of your thing. But the movement that you're doing there, it's kind of ubiquitous. It just like supports almost any sport. And again, like I said earlier, and I'm being quite sincere, there's a lot to be said for single leg work. Single arm work has a place as well. If you were doing a sport where that would be useful, from what you're saying, it's not. But this sort of exercise absolutely has its place. A really good way to start getting the load on as well in future. There's a couple of things that you can do. So you can go for a barbell option, because obviously you're not having to grip it and hold it. You can get it in a nice stable position on your shoulders. You might find that you have to engage your core a little bit more, but that in of itself might be a benefit for you, because the weight is higher, obviously, longer lever arm. I'm just conscious that you do your own coaching as well, so these things mean something to you, which is good. And then another one of this actually that can be useful, especially if you want to sort of build up that upper back and get working on the posture, can be to do it with a kettlebell. That's a nice option. I'm just giving you variables of a very straightforward exercise that you're nailing. So we'll go about 30 more seconds. Happy with that weight?
Yeah, that weight is good.
Too easy. You're definitely going to sleep well tonight.
Yeah, mate.
Okay. When you're ready, just grab the dumbbells and then into position, and we'll go for one more set. So 5 reps per leg. And I'm just looking for you to keep doing the same thing. Nice. Good range of motion. Feeling all right? Good. Go on, swap. Perfecto. Awesome. Nailed it. Well done.
Nailed it.
Cool. Happy with that?
Yeah, very.
Too easy. Right, on to the next one.